Lego Batman just did the unthinkable. They made a video game for every kind of Batman fan. It doesn't matter if you only like Batman because of the movies, TV shows or video games, because Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight has a bit of Batman for everyone. Lego Batman Legacy is such a great Batman game that it is now on the same level as the Arkham trilogy among the best Batman video games ever. Granted, one of the main reasons it works so well is precisely because Legacy was largely inspired by the Arkham games. In Lego Batman, we can also glide across an open-world Gotham, use multiple gadgets, and fight lots of bad guys using the free-flow combat. It's almost like going back to Arkham Knight, except that this is still a Lego game, which means that all of the edge and violence of the Arkham games is completely replaced by wholesome moments of family-friendly entertainment.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by... Ah! Who put that there? I could have really hurt myself.
Needless to say, Legacy of the Dark Knight presents a very bright take on Batman, with lots of cute and funny moments, and almost none of the dark elements of the Batman mythos, except for those that are strictly necessary. Lego Batman Legacy also does something Arkham never did, allowing us to play as multiple characters in the main story, including Robin, Nightwing, Catwoman, Commissioner Gordon, and Talia. There are moments where we can even play as Alfred and Lucius Fox, and that right there is what sets Legacy apart, because playing as these little versions of Alfred and Lucius was just pure joy, and it's nothing like Arkham at all. Lego Batman Legacy really owes a lot to the Arkham games, but deep down, it is not Arkham. It is not dark or violent. It is not mature or challenging. Legacy is just fun and entertaining. But perhaps, and most importantly, Legacy is an excellent gateway into the Batman mythos. This game takes everything that is good and well known about Batman and puts all of it together to build one of the best Batman narratives I've ever seen. And it all begins with the main story of the game. One of the highest achievements of Lego Batman Legacy is how it manages to tell the full story of Batman, from the very beginning and origin to the peak of his career as Gotham's protector, using elements from every one of the main Batman movies, animated shows and video games, which is rather impressive. The story opens with little Bruce in Wayne Manor, getting ready to go see the new Grey Ghost movie with his parents, and this entire sequence is taken directly from the opening of Batman Begins. In fact, almost all of the introduction of the game, the death of the Waynes, the training of Bruce in the mountains, the meeting with Ra's al Ghul and his return to Gotham as Batman were all perfectly adapted from Batman Begins. But then something interesting happens when the story continues and Batman goes after the Penguin and Carmine Falcone, and the game starts adapting the best scenes and moments from the Batman.
License and registration, please.
This is how Legacy perfectly blends ideas and elements from all of the iconic Batman media in order to create a complete and comprehensive story for Batman. Another example of that is the introduction of the Joker, as the game combines the best ideas from the 1989 Batman movie and the comic storyline called Zero Year, creating like this the most definitive Joker origin. Every chapter of the game brings new adaptations of iconic Batman moments, while also unlocking new playable characters like Catwoman, who is introduced using many moments from the movie Batman Returns.
Meow.
This is how Batman and Catwoman team up to confront the Joker in an epic fight that is a direct adaptation of the ending of the 1989 film.
Well, it's time to retire. Feel free to drop in.
At the end of this fight, the Joker also falls from the cathedral, but this time the fall doesn't kill him. It only makes him stranger.
What doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
These transitions are fascinating, connecting everything into the same universe, and then it happens again with the introduction of Robin, as the game adapts elements from the movie Batman Forever. With Robin as the new sidekick, the game makes one awesome homage to the intro of Batman the Animated Series, and then we have to fight Poison Ivy, who was clearly adapted from Batman and Robin.
Come on, Batman! Let's get to the root of the problem!
We don't do that.
Sorry.
And speaking of that movie, Mr. Freeze shows up next, and the game also introduces Batgirl, as well as Nightwing. And then, after all of that, the Joker returns, and the game starts adapting elements from The Dark Knight, like the iconic interrogation scene and the truck that is flipped on the street.
All part of the plan.
Talia also joins the game as the final playable character here, and together with Batman they manage to stop the Joker and take him back to Arkham, where the best reference of the story begins. It is here that LEGO Batman Legacy recreates the iconic opening of the Arkham Asylum video game, and as we walk down the dark corridors, we meet with some minor Batman villains. But then something happens, and all of them are released, forcing the heroes to fight their way through the hordes of madmen, only to find out that the man behind this breakout is Bane. This is the final chapter of LEGO Batman Legacy, and Bane is the ultimate villain, adapting elements from The Dark Knight Rises, a movie that was inspired by the classic comics Nightfall and No Man's Land. Those comics are also part of the grand finale of the game, as Gotham becomes a war zone and the real villain of the game shows up, and it's none other than Azrael. Or at least that's what it looks like. I'm not going to spoil the final plot twist of the game, but I am going to say that I was not a fan of it. Besides that, however, I absolutely love the main story, because of how well they managed to tell a complete narrative of Batman, using the movies, TV shows and video games as the foundation for their story. Not only that, but the game is bright and lighthearted, taking out the darkness and edge of the mainstream Batman mythos and making it accessible to all audiences, and especially to kids, which is so important to bringing new people into the Batman fandom. That's why I think the main storyline of the game is a massive creative achievement, and the fact that it can be completed in roughly 20 hours of gameplay shows just how effective the game is. The only real downside is that the game was priced at $60 on release, and it could go up to $80 for the deluxe edition. That's a bit pricey for a game with a main story that can be cleared in 20 hours. The good news, however, is that just like the Arkham games before it, LEGO Batman Legacy is loaded with so much side content that makes the price seem a bit more reasonable. You can easily spend over 100 hours doing the side missions of the game, because LEGO Batman Legacy decided to go big and created the largest playable map of Gotham City ever created, with an extended area that is twice the size of the Gotham of Arkham Knight. It's very easy to get lost in this massive version of Gotham, especially when we are just a tiny little Batman made of Legos. That's why the map of the game is extremely important to move around, and it's a good thing that it is, because this map is also a perfect recreation of the Gotham City map from the comics. Gotham City is such a unique place that it's one of the few, if not the only comic book city that has an actual map. This map was first created back in 1998, when the legendary Batman editor Denny O'Neil hired artist Elliot R. Brown to create the first and definitive map of Gotham. This map was first introduced in the epic saga called Batman: No Man's Land, and ever since then it has become the official map of Gotham in the comics. Now, 27 years later, this map of Gotham has made its first official appearance in the Batman video games with LEGO Batman Legacy, which is why I think this is the best version of Gotham City ever. And I say that not just because of the map, but also for what's inside of it. Just like they did with the main story, this Gotham also has the most important landmarks and buildings, the architecture and the design from all the other mainstream versions of the city. From the Wayne Enterprises Tower and the elevated train of the Nolan movies, to the big and oppressive buildings of Tim Burton and the dark deco bridges of Batman the Animated Series, everything is here, inside the comic book map of Gotham. This version of Gotham is a love letter to the entire history of Batman, and that makes the exploration of the city a fascinating experience. Watching Gotham come to life like this is wonderful, and the game has more than enough side missions to spend a lot of time here. Granted, some of these missions can become annoying and repetitive, just like in the Arkham games, but LEGO Batman Legacy makes the exploration a lot more enjoyable, thanks to the hundreds of Easter eggs that are all over the city. These can go from small graffiti with iconic names of characters from the Batman mythos to big posters around the city recreating actual posters from the Batman movies, although changing the hero to the Grey Ghost, which is phenomenal. Similarly, there are painted murals with great Lego art of iconic Batman images that made me want to screenshot every one of them. And then there are the billboards, which are also full of references, and my favorite one of all is this billboard of a late-night radio show in Gotham, hosted by someone called Conroy, which is obviously a beautiful homage to Kevin Conroy and his work as the definitive voice of Batman. Then there's also the names of the buildings and businesses that follow the grand tradition of the Batman comic books of naming the places and buildings after iconic creators of the past, like Frank Miller, Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, and Paul Dini. And my personal favorite of these references has to be the music store called Shirley's Music, which is a lovely homage to Shirley Walker, the main composer of the great soundtrack for Batman the Animated Series. The number of references like that one are astonishing, and they are also inside the buildings. In many of the missions we can find even more Easter eggs, like this picture of Max Schreck from Batman Returns, with someone that looks suspiciously like Tim Burton. Or this logo of Janus Cosmetics, which is the business of Black Mask, and it's taken directly from the comics. But my absolute favorite indoor Easter egg happens inside the museum mission, which is a fantastic adaptation of the Joker's museum attack from the 1989 film. In this building, there's a couple of pictures as part of the exhibition that Batman can interact with. The first ones are the iconic covers for The Dark Knight Returns and Detective Comics number 27, the first appearance of Batman, although here it is reimagined as the first appearance of the Grey Ghost. And then there's a picture of two young men working together, an artist and a writer, and as Batman contemplates this picture, a few hearts will come floating out of him. And that's a lovely homage to Bob Kane and Bill Finger, the creators of Batman. The amount of heart that went into the making of this game is unbelievable. They literally created the biggest Batman game, with the largest Gotham ever, and filled the place with references to the Batman history. That's impressive by any measure, but there's one thing we haven't even mentioned yet, and it's probably the best part of the game. So let's talk about the Batcave. LEGO Batman Legacy is groundbreaking when it comes to the Batcave, as the game allows us to keep track of our progress here while also making the place part of the main story, something that was never done before in any other Batman game. In order to do this, the game introduces the Batcave just as Batman finds it in Batman Begins, and over the course of the game, we can build and expand this normal cave and turn it into the iconic Batcave that we know and love. Every section of the Batcave is expanded separately, as each of them has a different function. Take for example the area for the Batcomputer, where we can go back and redo all of the main story missions to get any collectibles that we might have missed. Then there's the trophy area, where we can place all of the trophies that we have gotten and customize it any way we want, allowing us to create our own version of the Batcave, moving around the classic trophies from the comics like the Giant Penny and the Joker card. Next is the Batmobile area, where Batman keeps all of the cars from the movies, games and TV shows. And this is one of the most important areas, because the Batmobile is essential to move around Gotham and also to complete missions. The Batmobile is so important that the driving gameplay of Legacy is a lot better than it ever was in Arkham Knight. I truly despised the Bat Tank in that game, but I absolutely love driving around in LEGO Batman Legacy. In fact, my favorite mission of the game is by far the high-speed chase of the Joker's truck using the tumbler, that then becomes the Batpod. Legacy's driving is just top-notch. The racing side missions are super fun and exciting, and the icing on the cake is that we can pick and choose from all of these iconic Batmobiles. Even though these cars are just LEGO versions of the actual Batmobiles, the developers put a lot of effort recreating the vehicles as faithfully as possible, taking care of every minor detail, like the shape and size of the hoods, the customized wheels, and even the sound design of the engines of each Batmobile. They literally recreated the exact sound that each Batmobile made in their respective movies, games, and shows. That level of attention to detail is insane, and I only wish that they had added more Batmobiles from the comics, just like they did with the Batsuits. And that takes us to the final section of the Batcave, the main area for the Batsuits. This is the biggest selling point of the game, with Batman getting over 40 Batsuits and everyone else getting at least 10 different outfits. That's a massive collection, and the only costume that's missing here is the classic Bronze Age catsuit for Catwoman, which for some reason is not in the game at all. But besides that one, the Batsuits are all here. Hunting them down is one of the best parts of the game, and there's 3 ways to do it. First, you get them by doing the main story, then you get them by doing the side missions, and finally you get them by talking to Batmite, the magical imp that can sell you all sorts of items in his mini-shops, including more Batsuits.
Get your bat stuff here. I got suits. I got props. All that bat stuff you could want.
All of the costumes can be acquired just by playing the game, which is a great thing in 2026. Of course, there are special suits that are only in the deluxe edition of the game, like the Batman Beyond and Arkham sets. There's also the Dark Knight Returns Batsuit for people who pre-order the game. And finally, you can also connect your HBO Max and Warner Bros. Games accounts to get even more Batsuits, like the classic Golden Age Batman. Now, as much as I wanted this one, I was not going to create a WB Games account just for one little costume that I got the Batsuit. Look at him go! This is officially my favorite Batsuit because it also comes with the first red car that Batman used way back in the Golden Age. And this is what I love about the game, the fact that it has some of the most serious Batman, like the Golden Age, the Vampire Batman and Gotham by Gaslight, but there's also room for the silly stuff, like the Rainbow Batman, the Brave and the Bold and the Joel Schumacher stuff. There's even a special surprise when you complete 100% of the game, as the Batcave opens up a new area that is an exact replica of the Batcave of the 1960s, where everyone is having a good time and we get a special message from Adam West himself.
Good going! Heroes like you are truly a shining beacon of hope for all of humanity!
That was a recording from a previous LEGO Batman game, but just like everything else here, it's another piece of excellent fan service. LEGO Batman Legacy is just a huge dose of dopamine for every kind of Batman fan. From the mainstream Batman enjoyer to the hardcore comic collector, everybody will have their own favorite moment or reference, and for me it's this picture right here. And no, I'm not talking about the costume. Even though I do appreciate they included the outfit of Tengu that Bruce Wayne uses when he comes back to fight Azrael, I would have much preferred if they had actually added the Azrael Batsuit from Nightfall, and that's another reason why I really don't like the ending. But anyways, back to this picture and why the banner next to Batman is my favorite reference. You see, the Batcave has many of these banners lying around, and we can choose what picture to put in them from several options available. This is one of those options, and I'm pretty sure that for a lot of you, it doesn't mean anything. But when I found this image, I got a bit emotional. The text in this banner is Malevolent Maniacs, and that is the exact title of one chapter from Nightfall, where Azrael has to fight a trio of random thugs that act like the Three Stooges. The story is just one of many in the Nightfall saga, and it's not relevant at all. However, as some of you know, Nightfall was my first Batman storyline, and all those years ago I took everything to face value. Back then I really thought that this trio were actually important villains, so I memorized their group name called Malevolent Maniacs for future reference in case they ever showed up again. But then time went by. I read more Batman comics than I ever could have imagined, and yet the Malevolent Maniacs never appeared again, and the memory faded away. Until 2026, when I decided to play LEGO Batman Legacy and take a look at the banners in the Batcave, and there it was. After all those years, the Malevolent Maniacs finally showed up again, and in the blink of an eye, I was taken back to those early days when I was still learning how the Batman comics worked. And that's why this is my favorite Easter egg in the whole game. This moment reminded me of how it all started for me, of how things were when I decided to become the kind of Batman fan that I am today. and I'm pretty sure that anybody who plays the game can definitely find that moment or that reference that takes you back to that first moment when you became a Batman fan. LEGO Batman Legacy is not great because it's better than the Arkham trilogy. This game is great because it manages to do the unthinkable. It reaches out to the Batman fandom across generations of Batfans, both young and old, using all of the Batman media available, and speaks to us directly as one big group of Batmaniacs, while also introduces more people to the Batman mythos thanks to the popularity of the LEGO brand. In other words, this game unites and expands the Batman fans across the world, and that's what makes it great, because each and every one of us as Batfans are the real legacy of the Dark Knight. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and a special thanks to Thomas Morey, Wallscaler Batman, Marco Daniel, John Papp, Discarded Owl, Ace Mowick, VideoGamer75, Cute Gunray, and all of my patrons. Thank you all so much for your support, and until the next one, Godspeed, my friends.